And what's happening, folks? Welcome to the Adventure Metrics Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Horwitz. Got my buddy here, Scott Brills. Scott.
Hola.
And we got a special guest today. We got Milton Miller. My buddy, Milton Miller, is a traveler. He's an adventurer. He's an avid motorcycle enthusiast. He's one cool cat, and he's here to chat with us about running cross country, ultra running, I guess ultra long distance running.
Yeah.
Talk about some motorcycle adventures, some travel, and a bunch of stuff. And Milton, where are you right now?
Miami Beach.
You're in Miami Beach. I'm in Miami. Yeah. Scott is out coming to us from California today.
That's right.
And we decided it's 1 o'clock, it's 1:30 Eastern, it's 10:30 Pacific in the morning, and we all decided I'm actually opening my beer up right now, and we'll do a digital cheers. Cheers, your camera.
That's right.
Nice.
So this is the first thing I'm like eating or drinking this morning. I just went for a run along the ocean, and I came back and like, oh crap, that's right. The first thing I'm going to be eating or drinking this morning is a beer. my friends are all laughing at that.
Nice. What kind of beer you got?
I have a Pyramid Hefeweizen. It's apricot ale. Came across this a few years ago. Really, really awesome wheat ale. It's apricot, so it's fruity, but it's not sweet. So it's just a little bit of apricot taste to it. I've liked it for years and years. It's like a great, just like summer drink.
The only thing that sucks about digital drinking is you can't try each other's drinks.
I know. Well, I'm sure they'll figure out a way to do that soon enough.
I think that's good, actually.
Milton, what are you drinking on your end?
I have Leffe from Belgium. It's a very, very good beer. My favorite at the moment. It's very flavorful but light, almost white beer. It's a blonde, but it's very close to being a white beer.
Nice. I got my Italian Peroni. How it tastes and how to describe it, I got no idea. I'm not that much of a beer drinker.
It's a natural. It's just like one of those lagers, Mediterranean lager.
Mediterranean lager. I like that. It's interesting. I do a lot of red wine with dinner, but beer with like post lunch, I really enjoy that. Mm-hmm. So these are fun, man. We got to do more drinking podcasts. So anyways, Scott, Milton and I, we met back in 2010. Milton, Scott and I met about a year and a half ago. And I first reached out to Milton because he did in 2010, late 2010, he ran from Miami, Florida to Santa Monica, California, 2,200 plus miles. And when I first learned that, I said, let me chat with this guy. Let me see what this guy's up to. So, Milton, you've been living a pretty interesting life. Tell us a little bit about that run, and then what have you been up to the past 2.5 years?
Well, after the run, which was about 2,800 miles, so you don't know how to choose beer and you don't know how to count, apparently. So I had an opportunity to go to Europe and do my first motorcycle ride in Europe in 2011. I repeat that in 2012. And for the first time, I went into the Eastern Bloc. I went to Ukraine and I spent some time in Romania, Poland, and that was pretty amazing. So I spent a lot of time on the motorcycle, and now I'm a runner as well. I'm preparing now for another run across USA. It will be Los Angeles to Miami, and starts on January 1st. And I like to plan about a year in advance, not much more than that. So I know that I'll be going to Europe this summer, most probably to Ukraine again, to ride a little more, and then send my bike back. I have the run during this winter, and after that, I still don't know.
Nice, man. You've been living this adventure lifestyle for quite some time. When was the have you always been like this since you were like a kid and a teenager, or was there like a transitional point at some point in your life?
No, I was a very conventional guy up to around the year 2000. I used to be as conventional as you can imagine, like, working hard, 9 to 5, and IT guy. I used to be a software engineer, and marriage and the house in the country with the white fence and the cats and the minivan. Yeah.
Shit,
And
man,
the
Oh, wow. Minivan.
and the minivan, and that was it. And I was incredibly bored. And around 2002, between 2002 and 2004, I changed all of it. I got rid of the house, the marriage, the cats, the fence, and got a motorcycle and divorced and quit my job, or I quit my job, or they fire me, depends who you ask. and I started building my own business and turning into and making travel not something that I did for vacation, but more of a lifestyle. And then very gradually that transition happened between 2002 and 2008, I would say. Around 2008 was the first year that I spent most of the year traveling and having fun and doing things that are unusual. 2009, I spent about half of the year traveling. And in 2010, then the run happened, and then I would say that around 2010, I could start really calling myself mostly an adventurer or a professional vagabond or anything like that.
Nice. I think too, like Scott started a web development company when he was in high school, and you worked at that for like many, many years. I think that's a key thing out there for people who are looking to just design their lifestyle. It's like, once all the hype settles down, you realize that it does take a few years before stuff starts to click and momentum happens and things like that. But that's not to discourage people, because like, what the hell are you going to do otherwise? But I think that's a key thing to kind of everyone out there, whatever your journey, your challenge, your struggle is, like, as long as you keep the path, I think at some point you do kind of, what's the phrase, you get over the
years. Yeah. It builds some momentum after a while, and occasionally people approach me, and I'm sure they approach you, and they say, "So how do I do it? What do I do? I want to have the lifestyle." And I have to explain to them that it's not instantaneous. It's not something that you just put water on it and mix and it's done. It takes a while to develop, and it would be disrespectful to people to say that, hey, you just started a business and, or you just do whatever it is, the formula, and instantaneously it's going to be ready. No, you probably worked a lot for a bunch of years before it worked for you. Was the same for me. What happens is that you need to take the decisions necessary to make this possible much earlier than it's going to be possible. So it takes a lot of work, regardless if you are going to still be a 9 to 5 guy, or if you are going to have a more regular or conventional career, or to do what we do. It takes pretty much the same quantity and intensity of work. Mm-hmm. The difference is that we took some decisions very early that make it possible. For example, I decided about 4 years back to eliminate my office. I still had an office. I still had a corner of the house full of computers, and I decided to eliminate that and automate things. And switch to more portable technology. And at this point, I can truly say I don't have an office anymore. My entertainment center takes more space than my computers. But that also took years. After you take the decision, then for years you have to keep going gradually in that direction, and then it works.
Yeah. It's not this isn't Jiffy Mix. This is more like you have to go out, plant the wheat, harvest the wheat, stone grind it. Like you have to actually put in all the steps. I always tell people that anybody that's starting out fresh, I say, expect to put about 3 hard years of work into it before you start to see returns. If you see them before that, like that's great. You're lucky, but on average, I think it's about 3 years of work before you start to actually reap the benefits.
Yeah. I was just mentioning to Scott, like I've been doing Scott's word here, entrepreneur-y. I've been doing like entrepreneur-y things for like 7 years, and the biggest hurdle to what I realized to my success early on was like my inability to wake up when I set the damn alarm. Like I was just a snoozer for fucking so many years, and literally it was just within the past 12 months that I started to get a little bit better, and then just within the past 6 months, like I just wake up and like even though I had a lot of motivation and things like that in the past, a lot of it was a little bit hypey. Once the hype kind of settled, it was more of a driven discipline. And literally, after like 6 or 7 years of trying, I can actually wake up in the morning and get to work around like 7 o'clock in the morning or so. I mean, my goal is to move down into like 5, 6 o'clock
That's
arena.
nuts. That's nuts. No. Dude, I stay awake. I work until 4 or 5 in the morning.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about. I go to sleep at 4 or 5.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. So Milton and I...
Look, it's not about waking up. It's just that just mentioning kind of how long it takes to do that. But no, I remember being like 9 years old, and it would be like 2:30 in the morning. My mom would be like knocking on my door. What are you doing? And I would be like reorganizing my furniture and like cleaning up. I would just be like, I was always a night owl. But I realized that when I started selling real estate, it kind of screwed me over a little bit because I would, sure, I'll meet you at 9 o'clock for coffee, yeah. And then I would just like snooze until 11:30, ignore my phone calls, and it hurt my productivity. But I have cranked way into the wee hours of the night just, getting productive stuff done. So I guess that's the nice part about being an entrepreneur, working for yourself. It doesn't really matter when you start and when you stop, as long as you, put in the energy and the effort.
Mm-hmm.
So both of you guys are so much for the waking up early.
Night owls.
Yeah.
Us techie people, it's pretty common.
I do that when I'm on the road running, but that's it. It comes naturally then.
What's your routine now, like Milton? What's your? I guess it always depends on. Right now, you're kind of at your hub in, Miami. What's a typical day in the life look like for you during the week?
Well, it depends. Again, I'm very seasonal. Some seasons, some seasons I work a lot. I stay at home a lot. Crank code and contracts and analysis and statistics in my computer intensely for months sometimes.
Yeah. And
then some other months I am riding a motorcycle in Europe. Some other months I'm running. Across the country, so I'm always planning the business and my life based on what are the plans for the next few months. For example, from now to the end of the year, I'll do some traveling, and I'm planning to go to Europe again, but probably for not more than 1 month. The rest of the time, I have to be here, basically writing stuff and getting things ready and preparing PR and doing planning and all that stuff. But then January 1st, I'll be on the road for about 100 days. After that, then, during the run, I'll plan for the next few months. But it depends on what season I'm in. Right now, I'm in a season of working a lot at home, and doing planning and networking, contacting people. So there are some people have a style of work and creation. They do similar things all year long, but in my case, it's very seasonal. Yeah. And also during this season, I also train a lot. I have to run a lot and work out a lot. So I'm more outdoors, but I keep alternating. I work a few hours, I go out, I do a little bit of running, come back, run a few hours, go out, do something. So I keep alternating every few hours.
That's good.
What about your? So I'm interested in your daily schedule when you're doing your cross country runs. Uh-huh. Like, what is when do you wake up? Like, how long do you run? Like, what's your usual daily routine when you're doing runs?
I wake up naturally around 5, 6, just like our friend Matt does.
PM or AM?
I wake up naturally, because the run itself is sunrise to sunset. So I wake up around 5, 6. Usually I'm camping, so I get all my gear ready and hit the road while it's still dark. Then during the day, it's also cyclical. I run for about an hour 15, and then I take 15, 20 minutes off. During that hour that I'm running, I do about a mile and a half running, and then about half a mile walking. So I keep doing those cycles, and then that is in cycles of an hour and a half. And then every hour and a half, I'm stretching and relaxing a little bit, and I do that pretty much all day. So it gets to a total of 7 to 8 hours of running per day.
Is this during the run or is this training?
During the run.
Oh, okay.
What distance is that? Approximately.
My average was 25 miles a day on the first time, and this time it should be
Marathon
29. Yeah, it was almost a marathon day, and now I have to raise that average to 29, maybe 30 miles a day to do the schedule that I want to do.
So here's an interesting fact that prior to 2010, Milton had never even ran long distance, and then he just decides to pace a marathon a day.
I never ran to the bus. I never ran anything before. I was a total couch potato.
Yeah.
So we share that in common. Like I don't know if I've talked about it on here before, but Matt, the marathon in the Gobi Desert. So Milton in 2009, I drove from London to Mongolia, and I got there and my friend was like, "Hey, you want to run this marathon in the Gobi Desert?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I'd never run before. I hadn't run since high school. You have to run the mile once a year in high school. So it had been over a decade, right? And I had no running experience. I didn't even think I could run. So I signed up for this marathon, and I ran. So I ran / walked the whole thing. I did 26.2 miles. I couldn't walk for 3 days after, but everyone was like, "You're nuts! Like you haven't trained for this, and you haven't ever ran at all, much less a marathon or a half marathon. You've never run in your adult life." And I was like, "Yeah, no, but whatever." It's like I'm sure I can do it. And so I was last. I finished last, but it was just funny to see everyone's reaction because they'd been training for months and months, and they're like, "Oh, your feet are going to kill you. Your nipples are going to bleed." They're just giving me all this advice, and I just went ahead and did it in my hiking shoes. And I was all right. I survived it.
Exactly. No, for a marathon, you need training if you want to do a time. You want to do in less than 5 hours, less than 4, whatever it is, the time you want to do. Then it's going to require training. But just to finish a marathon, anybody that can move can finish a marathon.
Yeah. Right.
What depends, what is very variable is how much pain it's going to be. It may be a horrible amount of pain, and you may need several days to recover after that.
Yeah.
But it's not I would say that the challenge, the really big challenge, is to start above that, because if you are talking about a 50 mile or a 100 mile, then you can have really true doubts about if you can finish. A 100-mile run is no joke. You may not be able to finish it, and you can get seriously injured trying it can seriously injure you. So those are much more complex. The idea that is all, a lot of people believe that marathon is such a major challenge in terms of survival, and that is all that bullshit story about Peripides running and dying, in Greece. Well, first of all, that's a legend. That is not, that maybe it's true. Who knows? But Peripides, even if it is true, he didn't die because he ran a marathon. He died because he was fighting the Spartans before, and then after battle he ran. Go to battle. He spent the entire day fighting Spartans, and then run a marathon. And let's see if you survive that.
I think it's a good thing too. And a couple of things I jotted down. Scott, you owning and rocking the fact that you're like, dude, I don't even care that I finished last. I ran a freaking marathon in the Gobi Desert. I think that's a great mindset to put to it. The first, I forget, I think 2008, I did my first long distance cycle on a bicycle. I did, it was a 2-day, 175 mile bike ride / race. And I ended up, I had been in Spain and I got back, lifted legs at the gym, forgot that the run was like a few days later, and my buddy and I, so it was from basically Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, between the border of Pennsylvania and New Jersey to the ocean, to the Atlantic Ocean in Jersey. So it's basically 100 miles. And it was, at the time, it was the hardest thing I had physically and mentally done. It kicked my freaking ass and my legs were sore as hell. I ended up on day 2, I just took a bus home. I said, fuck the additional 75 miles. I'm good. I rode 100 miles today. It took me 12 hours. But anyway, out of 8,000 people, I literally was almost last place. And then the sweeper van, the van that runs the course and then picks up people at the end, was behind us. And I literally finished third from last out of 8,000 people. But I felt so good taking that bus ride home. And I think when you you make it, I think a lot of people, I guess like us, they're more into those individual kind of sports where you challenge yourself and you're like, the hell, I don't care what anyone else is doing. I know where I'm at. I know what'll make me happy. I'm just looking to finish. It was a big thing just signing up for this thing in the first place. I think that's a common thing. You find that among a lot of interesting characters. Like, oh yeah, I ran a marathon, and it's just like
a lot of people beat themselves up because they didn't finish well or because they didn't finish. And I like to say this. If you don't finish, that's still a lot better than not starting. And if you finish last, right? If you finish last, that's a lot better than not finishing.
Yeah.
Not finishing is still a lot better than not starting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And if you just start, if you do the first step, you're already beating everybody that stay home.
I love that attitude. Yeah. No, it's good. It's a very nice philosophy around something simple where everyone makes a big deal, and it's like, shut the fuck up, sign up, then deal with that. It kind of just, that's sort of my theory for events and travel. Sometimes you kind of just need to shut your fear-based mind off right away and just click the buy now or sign up right away, and then you're like, oh crap, what did I just do? Oh my goodness, I'm doing what in a few months?
Also, where it comes to running, there are people that they train for a 5K or a 10 or half a marathon. And I noticed that it doesn't matter what is it that you train for, that's what you end up doing. So if you go from couch potato to training to do a 5K, you end up doing a 5K. But if you go from couch potato to preparing to do an ultra marathon, you do it. You skip everything else, and you end up doing the ultra marathon. So it doesn't matter what it is. You just you cannot do an ultra marathon training for a 5K, you cannot do it. And if you're going to go step by step, like most people do, they train for a 5K, then they spend a couple years, they do an alpha marathon, they spend another who knows how long and do a marathon. That takes forever, and I don't think that it's wrong. Pretty cool if they do, but it's not necessary. You can go straight for whatever you want to do. So I went from zero to ultra long distance running in just 5 months, and believe me, the challenge is not in the body. The body will take it within certain parameters. The body will take it. The real big challenge is in the mind. If you have to prepare your mind and your lifestyle. I know personally at least maybe 50 guys that they could, and let's say 50 guys and at least 20 girls, that they could leave Miami and run all the way to Los Angeles anytime. They could do it today if they wanted. But I know very few people that can arrange their schedule, their lifestyle to do it. That takes a lot of time, and that is a much bigger challenge. How do you get away from working for 4 months and not let your finances and your lifestyle crumble?
Yeah.
How can you get yourself away from pretty much everything? Because if you if you are there on the road for 4 months, in many practical aspects, it's pretty much the same as being in jail. You are away from everybody. All you have is a cell phone that they can reach you. You're really isolated physically. So you need to be able to line up your lifestyle, and that is a much bigger challenge than the run itself. The run, and sometimes people get too impressed with the run. Oh man, you ran like a marathon a day. Yeah, that believe me, that is not that difficult. I'm not here to say that it's easy, but I'm saying that there are ways to get to do it. What is difficult is to line up your lifestyle. So when you use words like lifestyle design, I know that they matter. I know that they are. It's something that you really need to plan and build. And then you get to that point where you can just take a few months off and go and run in the desert or whatever it is that you like to do. But lifestyle design comes first.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Milton, I've done a few long trips, similar to yours. I mean, I haven't run across nearly as great as distance as you, but I've done like long distance drives and charity events and whatnot. I know you're doing your run for charity. Like how I'm interested in how you go about planning it, how you finance it. Do you get sponsors? How do you record it? Things like that.
Yeah, how I go about it? Badly. That's how I did it. First of all, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing lousy. Okay?
It's literally the quote I wrote down right here.
Yeah. Forget about that thing of you have to get it right the first time. Forget it. You won't.
Anything that is worth doing is worth doing poorly at first until you master it.
Exactly. You have to get it done, even if it's not ideal. The first time I rode a motorcycle across the USA, it was I didn't have the money to finish the run. The ride. I was improvising along the way. I was not going through a good financial time in my life, but I ended up figuring out when I was in California. I figured out the way to make the money to come back. When I started the run across the USA, it was a particularly challenging time for me financially, and I started with very little money, or literally, very little money, and I got a lot of donations and people helped it, and it worked. The situation was a lot better for Europe, but I had no idea how to really handle some of the logistics of it. So I got the motorcycle into Europe, and then from there on, I had to improvise. So in the beginning, we were raising money for a charity that the success rate of doing that was very questionable. You work it to some point. The personal satisfaction and the personal development of it was amazing, but the run itself was improvised a lot. So, of course, then I learned with the experience. Now I can prepare the logistics a lot better. I can, for the second run, then the PR and the social networking is going to be a lot better. The training, my physical training, is also a lot better because I'm not beginning from zero like I was before. Now I have some basis to go from. So the second run is going to be a lot better in many aspects.
Right.
But the first time, it was honestly a lot of improvisation. Okay? Also, I couldn't find anybody that did it before exactly the way that I wanted to. So there was no book to read that teaches you how to do it. There was no one that I could ask for advice that had the same experience that I had.
Right.
I could talk to a lot of ultra runners, and I talked to some of them, and people that run Ironman and things like that. but I could never find someone that was a couch potato and then run across the USA, or then did something amazing like that. I couldn't find anybody, so I had to invent.
From couch potato to ultra marathoner.
I'm writing a book about it that I really want to call it 100 Days of Madness, because that's what it was. And I'll tell you, the only person there that was not crazy was me. Everybody else was crazy. I would stop sometimes in overpasses over the highway, and I would see this mass of vehicles at around 5:30. Everybody stopping their cars, yelling at each other, talking on the phone and text messaging, and looking grumpy and sad, and a lot of them very stressed and road raging, and I would think, these people are crazy. Of course that's judgmental. Of course, some of them are very happy doing that thing. But it is an honest generalization. Most of them are. Most of them don't want to be there.
Yeah.
I would be through the desert and running and doing my thing, and sometimes I saw in a house, that someone is looking through the curtains, and you can see that they are just separating the blinds a little bit and looking at you, and they are probably wondering, who is that crazy guy, right? And they are there living incredibly conventional lives that full of fear and prejudice, and not getting to know the world outside of their county sometimes, not getting to know anything, not challenging, not learning, and being fat and drowning in debt, and a lot of them think that I'm crazy, and I like to reverse this role of what madness is. I would say being going out and sometimes taking some measured risks and challenging and failing and doing things that you can't fail it may look crazy, and it sounds kind of cool to say, oh man, you're so crazy. But I would say crazy is being normal. I couldn't go back to the 9 to 5 anymore. I'm clearly unemployable at this point. So because I can't sit still anymore. And I was an indoors guy. But just like an indoor cat, let it out, and you see if you can get it back into the house all the time. You can't. Once you're out, you're out. And my bet is the same with guys.
How do you finance these long blocks where you're not working? Now, you said that you basically work for an extended period of time and kind of save up the money. Do you get any sponsors for these, or does the sponsor money go towards a charity, or what?
No, I have most of my income is semi-passive income. That means when I'm working, it's usually because I'm building new websites and I'm building new projects and accumulating more creation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then while I'm running and traveling, then my income is passive income during that time. But when I'm back and then I'm on the saddle again, I act on them a lot. So I would say, depending on the season, my income is passive, or my income is active, depending on what season you're talking about.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I don't believe in totally passive income unless you are completely into finance and playing with money, playing with numbers only. Then it's possible that your income is totally passive. But I believe in active passive income. It's very active when you can be active. And when you are away, then yes, it pours some money on your account.
Right.
The first time I was searching for sponsor money, for a sponsorship, but nobody believed that I was going to do it. And, because honestly, would you believe that a guy that never ran would then run across USA? I don't blame them for not believing. but then now sponsorship. I spent a lot of last year talking to a company that they wanted to sponsor, and it ended up being a major waste of time. because to fit into their marketing plan, I would have to change the route and the run and the way I do it way too much. The compromise was going too deep. And at some point, I gave up on that. So I thought about it for a while, and I decided to not search for sponsors. I mean, there are some products, some things that I use. I'm going to write them a letter and say, hey, I'll talk a little more loudly about your product if you send me some. But I don't even care. Even if they don't send anything, I'm going to use it because those products I really like.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not looking for sponsors anymore. I don't want to have a boss on my project. And if I am in the middle of it and I decided to add another 500 miles or to go in a new direction because of or to change from one running style to another, to change from one kind of shoe to another, if I believe that now it's better to switch this gear to something else, I prefer to not be committed to a company that then makes me use the gear. I prefer the independent. So I'll use my own money anyway.
And for the charities, you just go for donations from friends and family and things.
No, I'm going to use crowdsourcing to raise money to make a documentary and the book for this because I want to give the book away. I decided to finish. I am drafting a book about it, and during the run, I'm going to complete this book. And instead of just selling it, I'll sell the paper version, but the ebook, I'll give it away. Wow. That's one of the major decisions that I took about this run. One day I was watching some kind of a seminar of someone that had this message that, wow, this thing is amazing and we are going to change the world. That this is going to be great for everybody. And I said, fine, if it is so great, why aren't you giving that away? If it's going to save the world, why are you holding it back? Give it away. Why do I need to pay $2,000 to watch that? Why is enlightenment and knowledge and freedom available only for those that have a couple $1,000s to spend? If it is that good, right, why don't you give it away? And then on the ride home, I was riding my motorcycle home, and I thought, what am I talking about? Here I am writing a book and trying to sell that. I just gave someone a moral lesson about, if it is that great, give it away. So why am I not going to do that myself? So I decided that the paper version, yes, if I want to put that on Amazon, and then it has cost, physical, that is their expenses, that's going to cost a little bit. But anybody can go to my website and download my book for free. And I want to make a documentary about it, and we are going to sell the DVDs. But guess what? If you want to just watch it online, it's going to be there for free. So I'm going to put the documentaries and the book and the photos, everything online for free. And so I use crowdfunding for that. And about the charity, on the first run, I was helping a charity in Africa that a friend of mine runs. And we did a pretty interesting effort talking about it. And I noticed that people, they do connect when you are in person and they meet you. They help, they open their wallet and give you the money they have. Literally, they do that a lot. Mm-hmm. I raised some money, but I noticed that because it is something far away, it was, a bunch of kids in an orphanage in Uganda that we were helping. Not many people, care about it. They don't connect because it's not local. And right. I also noticed that I don't connect as much myself because it's something so outside of my reality. I was doing that to help my friend, but I was not doing that because I had too much connection with the cause itself. And I'm happy to help my friend, but it's still, I think that it's going to be different if I do something that is much more local. So I decided that I'm connecting and networking with people and asking them, choose a charity that is in your city. And I made a list of all the major cities that I'll go through. And let's choose a charity in your city. And we raise money for that charity. Be that the food bank or the shelter for kids or whatever it is in that city. But as I am approaching the city and then running through it, we can do events that are going to help that charity that is local. And then the residents of that area can relate to it a lot more. And also I like charities where I say that they are exactly on the line between action and talk. Let me give you the example of food banks. The food bank is exactly at the edge of talking, which is easy, and actually feeding the people. You have to go and cook the meal and serve it and organize people on the line and actually do the action right there. That makes me like food banks a lot, just because of that, because they are on the front line of whatever it is that they believe. If you are sheltering people, or if you are feeding them, or you are giving them health care, whatever it is that you are doing that is directly to the people, that is exactly where the battle line is. And so I like the idea of helping those kind of charities, and they need help. They need to network a lot. So in every major city, from Los Angeles to Miami, we are going to choose charities, and I'll help them. If nobody steps up really wanting to participate, then whatever, don't raise anything. I don't care that much. I also, some things changing in me during this time, during these last few years. I don't care that much about a lot of things. I don't care about politics. I refuse to wear ribbons of any kind. I don't want to boycott anybody. I don't want to say free or liberate or fight for anything politically. I honestly don't care about that anymore. The only things that I really care are family, friends, love, and pursuing happiness. And that's it. I don't think there is anything left. So that's what I do. I want to connect to a lot of friends. I want to, to stay in touch with the people that I love and improve those relationships. And I think that pursuing happiness is it. If happiness for you is riding a motorcycle, go for that. If it is feeding someone, then do it. I don't believe that is anything more interesting to do right now than that.
Milton Miller, man on a mission.
I like the end.
No, that was some good stuff, man. I definitely, your clarity is coming straight through the digital channels, man. I think that's it's quite good. It's I think I'd imagine that not that you're overwhelmed by thought, more or less, but more importantly that you sit back and you observe often about what's taking place in your environment, internally, externally. Like you're always looking to make better. I think yourself, the world, and those around you. I think that's important. And you don't watch cable TV, do you?
I don't have cable.
Scott, do you?
Only when I'm in a hotel room that has cable.
Yeah, I used to say that I don't watch TV because I cannot afford it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Right.
I can't afford
it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you can't afford to just fill so much shit, like you put so much garbage into the system. It's like you got to spend all this time cleaning it out.
It's a lot of time committed to that. I think that unless you're a billionaire, you cannot waste that much time. You need to use time for something more productive. I am a movie buff, though. I like to choose movies and watch. I watch nearly a movie a day, but yeah, pretty much. I'm very much into movies. but I choose them well. I like to read about them. I remember quotes from movies. I have an amazing memory for movies, and then I love them. But watching TV and series and checking CNN and not any of that. I actually gave up news channels and watching news on TV a few years back. I believe that is a true, pure, high intensity waste of time.
Yeah.
If anything really important happens, someone will tell me anyway.
Yeah, it's exactly what happens these days.
Yeah.
Like, the hurricane's in town. It's like, all right, thanks. I'll take care of it now.
Exactly, and also it keeps reinforcing the tendency to use someone else's opinion as your own ideas, and that's incredibly dangerous and counterproductive. So I don't do it. I saw, Scott, you're looking like top left. You're digesting that for a second.
No, I think it's a good point. I think becoming self-reliant is a thing that is vastly missed among a lot of people, relying only on many sort of external. They don't realize they're doing it. It's almost unconscious. They just sort of are relying on other sources of information and opinions, and they don't realize that they don't take any initiative. There's no potential energy that comes from them because they're always, worried about what other people are going to think, or they can't do it until they get someone's opinion or someone's advice. And it's, I definitely think it is a journey, but a good one to step onto. One of just trusting yourself, becoming self-reliant.
Yeah. Matt, if I have the time, let me tell you this about most people. First of all, most people they don't act; they only react. They spend 100% of their time reacting to things that happen around them or happen to them. That's one of the major differences between the minority and the majority. The minority decide to do something, and they go and they keep pushing in that direction, and that is acting. The majority reacts. The other thing is that the majority of people tend to outsource everything. They outsource the education of their kids to the school. They outsource their security to the police. They outsource their future to the politicians. They outsource their health to the hospital. They outsource their fitness to the gym, as if the gym is going to supply that. So every aspect of their life is outsourced, and they outsource their opinion making to the news media. That is incredibly dangerous in an individual level, and it's bad as a country as well. If you don't outsource any of it, then you become very self-reliant. If you take care of your own safety, you take care of educating yourself and the people around you, you take care of taking your own decisions and choosing your lifestyle carefully. You take care of the only thing that people their entrepreneurs seems to be very comfortable with taking the control of is their business, and then they do it too much. They hold on to control of it way too much. But everything else is outsourced, and I think that's madness. That is madness. You do that, you lose your own life, and you find yourself sometimes even saying things that appear to be your own ideas, but they are actually someone else's commentary.
Yeah.
And that's unhealthy.
It's some deep shit. No, but joking aside, I think it's important, and I think kind of guys like us, not that we take it for granted, but almost that we don't realize kind of that we're fortunate enough to be able to set on a path where we work on ourselves, we work on our mindset, to then have these realizations of how important it is to, have our own ideas, hold to those, and not be, that there is strength in, like you said, the majority versus the minority, or rather, if your path is against the grain, being okay with that and moving in that direction. So, what were some, and Scott too, I'm going to actually ask this to both of you guys, curious, what were I think you might have shared it, but what were some things like early in your life that helped you? I don't know. I guess make that transition, step aside, or more importantly, or more specifically, rather, that mindset. The importance of developing your mind, developing that internal strength. Was there any big influences, any life stories, adventures, etc.?
I think I'm still working on it. Like I'm just, I'm getting to the point where I'm more cognizant of maintaining my own health, and it's my responsibility. It's not just the hospitals to, give me something to take care of the symptoms once something goes wrong, but actually to actively monitor your own health and to be in charge of exercise and eating right and to feel about, oh, hey, I just ate, 5 Big Macs and wow, I don't feel so good. For a long time, I was just talking about this yesterday actually with my friend. I would basically every time I would eat until I was stuffed because I don't know, I just grew up doing that, and I'm surprised I'm not obese. But I would just always eat until I was stuffed, and that's the only way I knew how to do it. And always be wondering, wow, every time I eat, for 2 hours, I slip into a food coma and I can't get anything done. I just end up on Reddit or dig.com or something like that, just whiling away the time until the blood goes from my stomach back up to my brain again and I can start thinking. And so it's really just as of last year or so that I've actually been taking a stance, as far as being very cognizant of how things affect me and trying little mini tests on myself and seeing how those react to my own system. Since everyone's different, you can take advice of any number of sources, but everyone's biochemistry is different, and so everyone's going to have a different reaction to anything. So. Yeah, I think it's really something that even though I've been doing this kind of thing for a long time, as far as being an entrepreneur and being pretty mobile, I really hadn't changed some of my core beliefs or values. Wow. I was just basically staying the same person, but I was traveling around the world and having fun. And now I think part of it's getting older and realizing that you're not immortal, and that if you want to live a long, healthy life. You have to start early and make sure that you instill values in yourself that makes that possible later on.
Yeah. I think as a creator and as an entrepreneur and someone who designs their life, you're not just managing your business and your health, you're managing your mind, you're managing there's really a multitude of areas that all require maintenance, energy put into them. And oftentimes we realize that, I might be really, really good and, I was fortunate enough to get into exercising in my late teenage years and had that area, but it was maybe relationships with friends. I'm a little bit kind of weak in that area, and it's really, as time goes on, I think it's good to become aware of all these areas that are important to maintain, or else they end up biting us in the ass and down the line.
Yeah, I just want to be the best human I can be, and I'm building up my empire now, and I want to be able to enjoy it well into the future, and so I think it's important to be very aware of what you're doing to yourself and how you're growing as a person.
Yeah, it's always nice to be around people who are interested in their own development and growth. I think it's powerful stuff happens when people start to to own their own development and realize how important that is and what that can do for them and those around them.
I would like to invite everybody to visit my blog. That is 100 Days of Madness.com. Link to that and then send comments, because I'll tell you something that I also discovered very recently is that the comments, the questions that people send me end up inspiring a lot of what I write. Sometimes because I like what they say, or sometimes because I don't like it. But it always inspires a lot of writing. And then allows me to also discover what it is that is in their minds. When they are asking about the run or adventure or about, any aspect of it, of life or lifestyle design, I it has been very revealing to me to discover what their questions are. But I never get to those questions if people don't send them in. So I like to encourage people to go to my Facebook page or my blogs or anywhere they can find me and send me that and ask and then watch videos like this and participate. And I'm looking forward to also be more in contact with you, Matt, and with Scott, talking about these things and adventures. And I'm pretty sure that our paths are going to cross somewhere in the world. My path with Matt crossed because of Couchsurfing, which is on itself an amazing network. It's totally life-changing for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Scott, if you like motorcycles, but if not, I'll encourage you to.
No, I do. I've got my license.
I encourage you to grow a pair and get on a motorcycle.
This is Woodard, by the way.
It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing when you are there, so in contact with the environment and the people you meet. When you cross these two words, Couchsurfing and motorcycle riding, adventure, the result is incredible. The people you meet and the intensity of the experience is amazing. Let me give you an example. I drove from Boston to Los Angeles once in 4 days. I was playing with a Jaguar that day, so I can do a cross country pretty consistently in 4 days. And then I did that by motorcycle recently and by car. Actually, I got a car in Los Angeles. And I went from Los Angeles to Miami, Couchsurfing. It took me 31 days. And that was as fast as I could do it.
Wow.
So how come? Every city that you get, you meet friends and they take you to the best places in town and you have a great time and you end up staying another day or two and you go for the runs and events and you fall in love with them, with them all, with the city, with the experience they are giving you. And then you travel another 200-300 miles and that is another town and everything happens again. So for me now, a trip like Los Angeles to Miami, even if I'm driving, it's going to take about a month. Last time I went to Europe, I spent 3 months there. I did no more than 10,000 miles or so. But it was partying and meeting people and learning and discovering every day. Every day, people open their houses and they open their hearts. They show me things that they wouldn't show sometimes to their friends. Like I will give you an example. A friend of mine in Germany, he showed me a medal that his father got for running track in 1940. So that was at a time where in that part of Germany, the Nazi party was totally dominating. So the medal has the swastika right in the middle. And his father, he spent all his life torn between the shame of having a swastika right there and being that associated with something that he didn't approve and he thought it was so shameful. But at the same time, he was so proud of that athletic achievement that he reached. And he gave that medal to his son. He's still feeling that duality, still in the middle of that paradox. And when my friend, his son, showed me that medal, he had tears in his eyes when he was telling about how much his father liked that he could be a champion and win. But he was always ashamed, and he never showed that medal to anybody ever. And I was the first one that saw it.
Wow.
So I you end up building a lot of respect for that kind of experience, which is, in my opinion, one of the few things that really matter in life is this connection, the kind of connection that you make to people. Again, it's friends, love, the pursuit of happiness, and that's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing else.
And really quick, so I know we're running out of time. I just wanted to give a shout out. I was reading your bio page, Milton, and wanted to give a shout out to Hash House Harriers because I saw you're a hasher. I first came across H3 in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, where the person I was staying with was the one that chartered the club for Ulaanbaatar. It's a German/Hong Kong/American expat that lives in Mongolia and runs a German bakery named Bridget. And so my first full day in Mongolia, we ran uphill, ran down, and she said, "Yes, so we're a drinking club with a running problem." That's the way that she termed it to me. And so Milton, I saw he's been at hash meetups around the country, and basically what you do is you go out for a run. It might be like a 5K or a 10K, and then you all kind of gather at the pub, or you just break out some beers wherever you're at. And it's kind of a cool. It started a long time ago. I guess it was World War II. Milton, the guy started. Yeah,
exactly. It started in 1938, and it is truly a drinking club with a running problem. We got together for the beer to have fun and meet with our friends. Just happens that we like to run, and then sometimes we run to meet, and then we drink some beers and run to the pub, and then run back, and it depends. Every city is slightly different. It's always very casual. It's always very happy. And it's an amazing experience, and it's also worldwide. The hashers were the group that helped me the most during my runs across the USA. Wow. Because they don't need a lot of convincing to go out and run with you and have some beers. It's really easy to get them involved. They are very enthusiastic, and they also host like Couchsurfing. If you get to a Hash House Harriers event and you just say, "Hey, I need a place to crash," someone is going to offer you, a couch or a corner in the house. So it's another amazing network where you build a lot of friends very fast, and allows you to connect, and also, because it's such a diverse group. Some of them are runners, some of them are walkers, some of them, are ultra runners. But also they are all over the world, and they have all kinds of experiences. So sometimes you meet them and you are amazed with what they know and what they can teach you.
Yeah, you can just search hashers or hashers. In whatever city, and usually they say, okay, every week we're meeting here. It doesn't, you don't have to pay to be a member or anything. Sometimes you have to chip in a few bucks if they're providing beers at the end of the run. But you just show up. You don't have to contact anybody. You show up at the location at the time. You go for a run, meet a bunch of cool people, and then have some drinks afterwards. And you don't even have to be a drink. If you don't drink beer or you don't drink alcohol in general, like just connecting with the people is cool.
Yeah. Exactly.
Milton, did you lose a visual on Skype, Scott?
No, I can see you now, and I can see him kind of slow.
Oh, for some reason, Scott, your video froze on me like a minute ago, but I've been hearing you. Okay. Yeah, so we're getting close to about the 1 hour mark. But Milton, it's been quite a pleasure. I think we covered a lot of ground here. We thought we were talking about running, but we definitely talked about life in many different formats. So that was quite enjoyable, and we will link up below this video, guys, or if you're listening to the audio of this podcast, check on the site, go over to the show notes. We'll link up to Milton's websites. But Milton, go ahead and give us your plug. Where can people find you to learn more about this run or any of your writing, or where do you want to send people?
Yes, I have a website called 100 Days of Madness, 100 Days of Madness. .com. Mm-hmm. I also have a page on Facebook called 100 Days of Madness, and I want people to to connect and interact. Send me questions, send me comments, send me money, do anything you like. But really participate. And if you are, or if you have the means to go to the route and meet me and run and participate and go there for the parties and go meet the hash house harriers. I'll be meeting with the hashers every city that I go through.
Cool.
I even say to them, I say that I'm hashing across the country.
Yeah.
Because they are the most amazing network that I ever found for this. And so participate. That's the word. Don't just connect to the website. Send me your questions. Send me your comments. Send me your your criticism. Anything. And I don't react to that, but that always inspires me on what I'm going to write next. And as I decided, the book will be available for free online. People don't need to buy that unless they want a paper copy. The video will be available online as well on YouTube, probably, I believe. And that's it. It's our great adventure. I want to meet you guys again. Definitely.
Yeah, man,
I want to meet Scott.
When I'm back in town, I think I'll join you on a hash.
Definitely, let's do that.
Yeah.
I also have another blog called MiltonMiller.com where I talk specifically about traveling, especially about traveling by motorcycle. So that can be very cool as well if you are interested in travel.
Certainly, we'll connect to those. Scott, anything you want to add? I got two things I'm going to close out with.
I'm good.
Cool. So new thing we started. I got two quotes I wanted to read before we close out today. The first one on the topic. Well, they're both around the topic of not. Even though the quotes might be around travel, I think it's kind of what Scott and I talk about often, and what Milton's talking about here is get out there, explore, participate. What does adventure mean to you in your life, and how can you incorporate that? So St. Augustine once said, "The world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page." I got one more from our buddy Mark Twain, even though I read a quote from him last show. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover. Mark Twain. Milton, it's been a pleasure. Scott, as always, folks out there, listeners and viewers, thank you for hanging and joining with us. Questions, comments, you know where to reach us. In the meantime, keep rocking. Gentlemen, until next time.
Thank you very much.
See ya.
Bye-bye.